I'm not gonna be getting one.
Am I buying one though? Here's the thing, I never think it's a good idea to buy the first generation of any new product lineup. I'm not gonna buy this generation. Yes, I know I said I wouldn't get the Apple Watch, and I ended up getting it, as you can tell already. For those of you questioning me, I'm going to answer that now. So yes, I had some work recently, and I had cash, and you know, I could afford it. So let me make my own decisions, okay? Why did I get it? So that you could decide if you wanted to get it. So there's lots of questions about this smartwatch, obviously, so let's get into them. Number one, how does your lifestyle change? I don't mean life, because it is not a life-changing product, as anything made by a company should change your life. It's not common. It did not make a big as impact as the iPhone, and I'm pretty sure it's safe to say nothing ever will. The Apple Watch definitely changes lifestyle, though. Sometimes it's the little things that will influence your life the most. Since this is Apple's first wearable, it's the first device that you never really forget about because it's always on you. Whether you like that or not, I don't know. I like it. But since you're getting texts, you can look at the weather, you can look at stock, you can check your heart rate, your fitness activity, and of course the time. This is a device that's on you and that you're always paying attention to. So yeah, if you weren't a watch wearer before, or even if you were a simple watch wearer, this changes a lot. For me, it was personally interesting because I was not used to data being delivered to me by my wrist. I didn't even wear watches. Then I heard about the Apple Watch, of course, and my arm started feeling a little naked, so I got a simple watch for Christmas and I started wearing it just to see, hey, what does a watch really like? As soon as I got that experience of what a regular watch really does, I started relating to other smartwatch wearers and being like, yeah, I wish this could deliver texts and I could check the stocks and do more than just tell time. So yes, doing that improved my chances of buying one. And for me, it's the better, so it gives you achievements for activity if you didn't know that. And it kind of inspired me to stay more active. I do a lot of editing in my line of work, which is terrible for your lifestyle because you're sitting all day. And it reminds you, stand up. Hey, it's time to get active. Reminds you how much time you've exercised that week or that day and how many calories you've burned. That's a lot of data, and I'm not exactly sure how it knows when I'm standing or not by my arm. That's pretty impressive. So, in my personal opinion, it's a good lifestyle change. It changes a lot. And let me just say, for the first 3 to 4 days wearing it, you can't stop looking at your arm just saying, wow, look at all the money that's on my wrist. Yeah, it's the Apple Watch Sport 42mm. It's nothing fancy, but hey, they all do the same thing. They're just made of different materials. Don't get personal. The second question, is it worth the heavy price tag? This is probably the biggest question for all smartwatches. And this is obviously not a yes or no question. This appeals to every individual person. I've used it for a little over a week now, and I've come down to the conclusion that this is a product for heavy smartphone users. If you're ever thinking that a smartwatch is going to replace your smartphone, no, that's not the case because there's no keyboard on this thing. Screen's too small. Interface is totally different from an iPhone because on an iPhone you can set it down, you can use 2 hands on it. You're usually holding it with one hand and you can use multiple fingers on one screen. It's big, you can, do stuff with it. The watch is an entirely different interface, and for good reason. First of all, it's on your wrist, which means this hand can never touch that screen. Can't reach like that. Alright, so first of all, one hand at a time use only. That changes interface a lot. But number 2, you also can only use one finger at a time. This is not a restriction, I just think this is how watches in general have to work. Ooh, I just got a text. So cool. You can't use 2 fingers on this screen, it's too small. It doesn't work like that. Which is why I'm in big favor of the digital crown, which not other smartwatches have, because it lets me scroll through things or zoom in and out of things without putting my fingers on the display. So don't think that smartwatches are just smartphones in the future and we won't have them in our pockets, we'll just have them on our wrists. No, they will always be accessories to the smartphone. This interface works great, the phone in the pocket and this on your wrist, and you can see things without turning on your phone. They work together amazingly. So it's a good system, just don't think this means the goodbye of the smartphone. The smartphone is here to stay. If you're not a heavy smartphone user and you don't care about your personal activity very much, I'm gonna say that the Apple Watch is very activity based. If you're not any of those 2 things, don't buy it. You can get a cheap watch that'll tell you time in a fancy manner, much cheaper than this one for sure. And if you don't need all these fancy specs and display, screen, and light up and stuff, you don't need it. But if you're someone like me who needs to get a hold of people a lot, and sometimes you get notification and messages that will buzz your phone, but you check it and it's something useless or something you don't need to care about. For instance, Amazon sends you notifications about your package. You don't respond to those things, so it's unnecessary to take out the phone, so it's good to just read it on the watch. Now you know that information, and the phone didn't have to waste some battery. So in response, your phone's battery life lasts longer because you don't have to turn it on as much. So this is what I mean by good cooperation. If you get lots of notifications, and you just want to be one of those people, really. I don't think everyone who gets an iPhone will get an Apple Watch. The Apple Watch will define what people are heavy phone users and what people are casual phone users. The super productive who use their phone a lot, they'll use the watch. The casual ones who don't really need it, they won't. So figure out which one of those people you are. Which model is best? Of course, this is an opinion, but I have some serious facts to back this one up. This whole video is an opinion, really. You can disagree with anything I say. So of course, there's 3 models, and the Apple Watch Edition I'm just kind of excluding because no one really can afford it except those rich people. I know I made a video making fun of how expensive it is, and it's really a genius move for Apple when you think about it, because you don't have to sell a lot of those, but you'll still make tons of money off of them. Huge chunk of their profits was made by that watch alone, so it may seem silly, but hey, financially it works. So excluding the Edition, we have the Apple Watch, just Apple Watch, and then Apple Watch Sport. The difference is $350 to $550. That's a $200 difference. It's quite a lot for a watch. And the answer is Apple Watch Sport, of course. So you may think that just because they're all expensive, I chose the cheapest one because then I have more money left in my wallet. But no, even if both of these watches were the same price and it was just a difference of material, I would still choose the Sport even if price was not a factor. And it's because the stainless steel Apple Watch has been getting reports of getting scuffs easily, scratching easily, and it is made out of stainless steel, and that gets a little mirror reflectory, and it looks cool at first when you unbox it. But those things scratch and they get fingerprints, and it ends up looking like the back of iPods like this. You can see it gets scratched easily, and it doesn't match my phone. I want my iPad, my iPhone, and my Apple Watch to kind of look like they're all seamlessly working together, similar products. And this one is aluminum, just like the other two, so that's the way to go. Yes, the regular Apple Watch has a sapphire display, and this Apple Watch Sport has an Ion X display. See, on paper, sapphire is crystal, so it's supposed to be stronger than the Ion X class. I'm not going to do a drop test for you because I don't have both and I don't want to break this thing, but if you go up and look the comparison of those drop tests, the Apple Watch regular, the stainless steel one, shatters. Of course, dropping your watch is extremely rare. I've never heard of someone dropping their watch. But if durability is a factor to you, that upper end Apple Watch is heavier, and those bands that it comes with, the fancy ones, are heavier than this, you know, plastic, not plastic, more like rubberish kind of thing. Those things cause more weight, so if you are worried about dropping your watch, this one is handling it better. We've also proven that the Apple Watch Sport is waterproof, unofficially. My guess is Apple tested it and it kind of worked, but there was probably some very rare scenario, like when it falls 25 feet underwater, that it dies. So they couldn't label it as actually waterproof, but they just say water resistant. But if you look up those waterproof tests, I'm not gonna test it for you. I'm not gonna be the first guy to break his watch with water. Go look up those tests. It survives very well. They swam with it. They left it in a sink for an hour. I saw a guy pour it in a bottle of Coke. You know, it's a common watch problem. It dies when it's in Coca-Cola. But he put it in that and it survived. Like, it's unintentionally waterproof because it's so compact and there's just nowhere for that liquid to go. I actually really stupidly spilled some water on it while I was eating lunch. I'm not good at drinking water. Anyway, some water spilled onto the watch. Totally fine, and that was an unintentional water test and it held up perfectly. Maybe they just did it because if it did break because of water, they didn't want you to cause false accusation. Say, hey, this is supposed to be waterproof. And they're just like, we didn't say it was waterproof. Anyway, that's why Apple Watch Sport is in fact the best model. Is Android Wear equivalent? I'll probably make a separate video about this, but at the moment I do not have any friends who have Android Wear, but I know a lot about it. Of course, this is very opinion based, and if you have an iPhone, the Apple Watch is your only option because Android Wear does not work with iOS. And if you have an Android phone, Apple Watch doesn't work with your phone, so this kind of is smartphone based. But if we're going to compare Android Wear with watchOS, I have to point out some things where Android Wear is lacking. I've used a couple of Moto 360s in Best Buy before, and you got lots of things to swipe through, both sideways and up and down, though it's lacking a home screen. Maybe this isn't important to you, but I think it's a crucial key to a watch. Any product, really. If all you have are slides to go through, it's easy to get lost within all those settings. things. Apple is really only successful for their intuitive operating systems, and that's what they paid attention to the most. They were afraid of the giant worry that everyone had is if smartwatches get so complicated that they actually forget to tell you the time. To me, it seems like when you're sliding through all these messages in the Moto 360 or any of the LG watches, there are several points during the screen you're looking at is not showing the time. Apple Watch, no matter what application you're in every corner or in some way or shape or form, they tell you what time it is. Because time is what the watch is all about. Secondly, with the circular watches, I feel like you're cutting off what could be a perfect square. Like, I don't know if people do this, but I think they just threw it in there to be fun. They put in Instagram and the Photos app in the Apple Watch. Not a very great way to use photos, but they still wanted it in there just to show people. They needed something fancy for it to do. But anyway, you can't do that on Android Wear because of that rounded screen, because your picture's gonna get either cut off or minimized down. So I understand you want that circular look to keep things looking like a regular watch, but listen, old watches were circular because they had gears and things moving inside. We're beyond that now. You could make it any shape you want. So let's make it a square like a smartphone and iPad to avoid OS overlapping confusion. So that's just my personal opinion. You may disagree with me, tell me in the comments. But the other difference between Android Wear and OS Watch is that digital crown, which I mentioned. The reason they can't really have a home screen is because they don't have a digital crown. Zooming in and out of things is not good on a watch. We can't do two fingers on this, so we needed something that'll let us scroll and zoom without covering up this tiny screen. That's why I thought the digital crown was such a genius invention that no one else had thought of, is because we needed something to be able to scroll and zoom in, and that opens up so many new doors. That means on Android OS, there's only so many things you can do, and now anytime you want to scroll, you're going to be covering up that screen. So that's my opinion. Of course, your smartphone kind of determines what watch to get, but this is good now that the Watch OS 2 is coming up and Apple Watch is here. This means Android Wear has to step it up, get a home screen going maybe, and get some clever minds that are not going to just rip off the digital crown, which I'm really afraid will happen. Got a whole nother lawsuit in the works. All right, next question. Why did I change my mind about getting the Apple Watch? This is a very good question, and it's because in the beginning, I looked at it like everyone else did. This is a useless product. No one needs this. Why is Apple making this? Everyone thought that when they first saw it. But now it's the most successful first release of an Apple product ever. And it's because when Apple wants to introduce a new product, they want to make sure it's a game changer. It redefines the industry. Whether or not you like it, look at the stats that within the first 24 hours the Apple Watch was available for pre-order, it sold more watches than Android Wear has in the last 3 years. And people are still buying it, so obviously most successful smartwatch by far. And it's because people have a certain expectation with Apple. When a company keeps delivering products like this and their customer satisfaction is this high, people can buy something they never dreamed they needed or ever wanted, but because they know Apple thought of all this stuff that would be inside it, they're going to enjoy it. That's a little scary to think about, but it's kind of what's happening. Apple wanted to make sure a product like this did lots of things, wasn't just one cool feature. It had to be lots of things. So the other reason I decided and changed my mind to get this was watching reviews and reading reviews about it. I did not order this before other people got theirs. I had several friends that had Apple Watches and I spoke with them about it. I got to meet with them about it, tried it on, played with it. And after reading reviews and seeing how waterproof this thing actually was, since I had a barely techie watch a while back, it was an iPod Nano, you know, the square one. I dipped that in water and it died immediately. That's why I was a little hesitant with this one, as they said it's not waterproof. But after watching it go through a pool, go in Coca-Cola, I was like, okay, if I made a mistake with this one, it would not be the end of it at all. You could swim with it for 10 minutes, not realizing, oh, hey, it's there, I better take it off. And all the reviews were actually very positive. So reading about this and everyone saying it's the most successful and people are liking it, I decided I'd invest in a first generation product, which is something I never do. And I'm kind of glad I did now because I'll have, you know, the first one, you know, it's rare. To hold on to that, it's like having a first generation iPhone and you could sell it later. It just, if the new watches come out and you already know how to use one, you're ahead of the game, you feel like one of those people. I'm a techie person, so that's why. And of course, another reason is for what I'm doing right now. I wanted to review it. I wanted it on this tech channel. There wasn't wasn't a lot of things I had bought recently that I could review, and this would be an awesome addition to the channel. So thank you for watching. Next question. Should I wait till next year's model? Very worthy question, because this is what I thought I was gonna do, and it kind of depends on when you're watching this video, actually. If you're watching it a week or two after I uploaded it, if you want a smartwatch, I think the Apple Watch is worth the buy. It's a lifestyle changer, and they're gonna have operating systems supporting it for several years. So yeah, if you're watching this in a recent time of the upload date, then yeah, I think you should get it now. But if you're defining next year's model, this could be if you're watching it in after the summer, so September or October or November. This is like the halfway point, so if you bought this version now, it would only be new for about a couple months, so bad idea. Best idea, if you're closer to the new release coming up, do some research about when that watch, the second Apple Watch, is coming out, and if you're closer to the new one, just wait. That way you'll get a whole span of a year of it being the most updated version, and that's what you want. Next question. What will be on the Apple Watch 2? Unfortunately, I'm gonna get into this a little bit. A camera. I've read about this a lot, and it seems something like Apple would do is add a FaceTime camera that's on the top of the watch pointing at you. Personally, I don't want to see this happen, but look, we put a camera on the back end of an iPad, and that looked so weird when it first happened. People with these giant tablets taking pictures, but now, you know, tablets have fairly good cameras, and people are doing that now, so we got used to it. I think a camera on a watch is cool for like a Jetsons throwback, but FaceTiming and we're taking selfies on the watch is not gonna be good. So if you're sitting at a desk with your laptop or a desktop and you're FaceTiming someone on their watch, they're going to be squinting at you. This screen is not very big, so to be trying to look at someone on such a small display, you're gonna be like talking like this, and since it's upward facing, that's a weird angle for cameras. That'd be like if I talked to you guys at this angle. You're getting way too much of my jaw and chin, and my face is way up here. So unless you talk to people like this, which is definitely not comfortable, FaceTime is not gonna be a great experience on the watch. I will not recommend it, but I can see if you're just adding features to the watch, because there's not too much it can do really compared to your phone. Your phone can do way more. You add a camera just for the sense of a feature. But you know, second, with selfies, you can only get like a straight shot of you from this far away, and that's pretty close. That means this camera's gotta be really wide angle, which they should have a wide angle lens on the FaceTime of any product like the Samsung phones, so you can get more people in it. But you can only get it that far away, and then you have to tap it, and this is a weird angle because every selfie is gonna have your shoulder going up here. Those are gonna be not good pictures. I seriously doubt they'll put a camera on the wristband like the S Gear did, and no. We want interchangeable bands, and these bands are not connected to the phone except with that secret port, which we will talk about in a different episode. That is not, no. So there'll be a camera. I'm expecting better battery life. Smaller? It's possible. You could make this thing thinner, but it's actually surprisingly light. When you first try it on, it's actually quite shocking how light it is. I personally hope they make the screen bigger. Look at this thing on my arm. I got tons of space left. I could take a watch that big. That's what I'm expecting on the watchOS 2. Actually, the OS is coming to this one. I mean, the Apple Watch 2. Lots of cool things in store, but I personally don't think they could add too much in the next generation. That's why I decided to buy this one now. And I'll get into the smartwatch in some more videos soon. Thanks for watching, and thanks for watching.